Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Adobe Acrobat Studio, so brand new. Show me all the things PDFs can do. Do your work with ease and speed. PDF Spaces is all you need. Do hours of research in an instant with key insights from an AI assistant. Pick a template with a click. Now your prezzo looks super slick. Close that deal? Yeah, you won. Do that, doing that, did that, done. Now you can do that with Acrobat. Now you can do that with the all-new Acrobat. It's time to do your best work with the all-new Adobe Acrobat Studio.
It's the Joe Concha Show.
Joe Concha.
Joe Concha.
Joe Concha.
77 WABC.
All right, welcome everybody. All right, let's bring in the best of the best in terms of legal analysis. He is a law professor, also a best-selling author, legal analyst for Fox News. You could pre-order right now Rage and the Republic. That sounds like a good one, Jonathan. How many books are we up to at this point? I'm only at 3. I'm not going to catch you at this point. I feel like Patrick Mahomes going after Tom Brady.
Well, I'm very excited about Rage and the Republic because Simon & Schuster has been holding it for the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence.
Oh, wow.
So I've been chewing my nails off waiting for this to be released, but it's literally now just a couple weeks away from being mailed out.
Oh, very good. Yeah, and that's the frustrating part. Like whenever I've written my last 3 books for HarperCollins, my publisher, I'm done, and then it's like 5 months before it hits bookshelves. I'm like, can we just get it out now? But there's a whole process, as you know. And you want to do it in 2026, 250th anniversary. It's going to be crazy, right? We're going to have the ball drop at Times Square on July 4th, which I don't, in my lifetime, I've never seen before. We're going to have the World Cup here going on at the same time. We're going to have MMA fights on the South Lawn at the White House. It's going to be quite the year. It's going to feel like 1984 all over again, Jonathan.
It is. And, part of the point of Rage and the Republic is to not just look back. The first half looks back at what are the unique circumstances that created this American Republic. But then the second half looks forward at whether this republic can survive in the 21st century. But it is really striking how many of the problems we faced in the 1700s are reappearing. I mean, that we're facing many of the same voices, the same ideas that were raised back then.
Amazing. I can't wait to read it. Is there an exact due date or launch date, I should say, due date?
Yes, it's February 3rd.
February 3rd. Okay, great. That's 2 weeks before my birthday. I already I'm going to tell my wife what to get me, and there you go. So thank you.
I was going to use Thomas Paine's birthday, but I said, you know what? We got to use Joe Concha's birthday.
You got to think of the Aquariuses in this situation. So either way, it's all good. I've seen you've been posting a lot on X as far as the Democratic reaction here to what we saw in Minneapolis. Let me get your general take on it first. I'll give you mine, the 15-second version. Obviously, this ICE officer was in front of that particular SUV that this woman was driving. She decided to take off and not listen to law enforcement giving basic instructions with the ICE officer in front of the truck. That's why you see a bullet hole going through the front windshield straight in as opposed to the side. So there goes that theory. And I think in that case, given all the attacks that we've seen on ICE officers, he could have thought that this was a ramming situation of a hostile person and did the only thing that I think he could have done there, Jonathan. That's where I come down. How about you?
Well, I think that this seems to fall squarely within the standards of Tennessee versus Garner, where the Supreme Court looked at what constitutes excessive force under the Fourth Amendment. And the key here to remember, and I think you're right on with your analysis, Joe, the thing to remember here is that whatever her motivation might have been, whether she was trying to flee the officers, which seems likely, or whether she was actually trying to run over an officer, it ultimately probably does not matter, because the question is, what did the shooting officer see? He saw a car that was about to hit him from someone who was evading police, had refused to follow the orders to get out of the car, someone who had been all day harassing the police. and he had a split second to decide. And in the training of state and federal officers, they are taught that a car is a weapon, that if a car is rapidly approaching an officer, it is to be treated as a deadly weapon, and it allows for the use of lethal force. So he's well within that standard. We'll have to wait to see some of the other videotapes that come out, but the ones that I've seen suggest that he's got a very strong case for a justified shooting.
Yeah, it appears that way. And I've seen the term where people are calling this legal but awful, right? Like it's horrible that this woman had to lose her life. Maybe she panicked wrongly in the moment, but at the same time, all I know is anytime I get pulled over just for doing, maybe I made a wrong left turn, or maybe my back, light, my blinker is out, whatever. Anytime a police officer, any command that he gives you, you listen, you're respectful, you say, well, what can I do? What do you need? Instead to do that, unfortunately, that's what led to what we're seeing here. Meanwhile, we're seeing reactions from Minneapolis's mayor, the governor of Minnesota, who has big problems from a legal perspective right now, even Hillary Clinton jumping in, people calling this outright murder. And those are very, very reckless words right now when the temperature is so high. Is this exploitation by those who are looking to maybe distract from the Somali fraud that's going on in Minneapolis and Minnesota? Or do they really believe, even after seeing that video, that this somehow was a murder?
Well, it's an incredibly reckless mantra that is being heard. Hillary Clinton just joined the mob, called this officer a murderer. Mondami did so yesterday. Of course, Mayor Frey had his outrageous press conference. It's really quite shocking that you have people who are out there putting their lives at risk to protect us. But when there's a shooting, they don't even get the grace of an investigation. They don't even get the willingness of some Democratic members and politicians and pundits to allow for all the facts to come forward. I mean, this guy was called a murderer within an hour of the shooting.
Yeah.
And, it's a repeat of what we saw with the migrant whipping false story in Texas. Many of the same Democratic politicians and pundits back then said, oh, look, mounted border guards are flogging and whipping migrants at the water's edge. There was a video that has been released that, if you watched it, clearly showed that they didn't do that. I mean, I posted almost immediately after that story broke that this video does not show them whipping migrants. It shows them using this to sort of guide the horses, but not directed against the migrants. But the media, pundits, politicians unloaded. And by the way, of course, we know that Mayorkas immediately threw his own people under the bus and condemned them. That's quite a difference from what we saw with Secretary Noem, who came out and said, look, these guys are trained to protect themselves, and that's what this officer believed he was doing.
Absolutely. And again, in the moment, you see some analysis, Jonathan Turley, where you say, well, maybe that officer should have shot at the tires. And you're like, well, in that moment, a foot and a half away, that's not going to stop an SUV from moving forward still and potentially killing you. Maybe if you're 100 feet away, that might be able to do something. But from that close range, that is the only thing that you could think of at this point. Meanwhile, people forget, and we saw very little media coverage around this, that just back in the summer alone, we had suspects, now they're actually obviously in custody, 911 call to a detention center down in Texas where basically ICE agents were ambushed. One suspect allegedly unloaded 20 to 30 rounds at two unarmed federal agents who came outside to see what was going on. And we barely saw anything in terms of, well, this is something that obviously is serious. We have federal agents now being ambushed and under attack, yet this is going to probably be the next George Floyd, maybe not totally to that extent, but at least as a national story among the CNNs and MSNBCs and New York Times, that will obviously be something, I guess, to try to take down the Trump administration, to try to deter ICE, but it appears that is not going to happen. We're talking to Jonathan Turley right now. When we look back on 2024 and 2025, Jonathan, and we see all the lawsuits that were brought about against Donald Trump, whether that be in Fulton County, Georgia, by Fani Willis, whether that be the Jack Smith cases, all of them have gone away. Is there any chance that they could be resurrected, or are they done? And ultimately, why, at least in the Fani Willis case, I'll start there, why did they go away? Is it because of their own ineptitude, or was there never really a case there in the first place? Because I remember your analysis saying at least one of the Jack Smith cases could have been seriously damaging to the president, and maybe even a guilty verdict could have been handed down.
Yeah, what's fascinating is that a lot of this deals with a combination of negligence and hubris. Jack Smith might have been able to eke out a trial if he had not gotten greedy. He had this issue with regard to classified documents being held at Mar-a-Lago and possible obstruction claims. Those are fairly standard claims for prosecutors. They have the best chance of surviving. But instead, he wanted to go for the whole Megillah, and he came up with that DC filing, which was absurd. And he ended up getting
what that
caught up
was,
in
Jonathan?
deceit.
Just for the folks at home, just to jog our memories on that. The DC
Yeah, I mean,
filing.
he was alleging all types of sort of vaguely defined election violations. He didn't accuse the president of incitement, but he, in his press conference, made it sound like he was charging the president with incitement. It was very messy, and it was typical Jack Smith. That is, he's always been undone by his appetite, and that really played out, and both cases collapsed. With the Fani Willis case, it was a combination. First of all, the RICO case was one of the dumbest I have ever seen in my career. Andy McCarthy had a great line where he said, "This is the first RICO case that I've seen where the first connection the co-conspirators had was to be named in the indictment." And he was absolutely correct. When you read the indictment, you're like, what the heck is this? I mean, none of these people had any connection to each other.
Yeah.
And so, in my view, it would have collapsed legally. But of course, she then committed what many view as unethical conduct with the hiring of her former lover. And that produced all of this. And it was interesting because, once again, like Smith, Willis might have been able to protect her case if she had just shown a degree of restraint, right? If she had just simply, when this thing first came out, say, you know what, I didn't do anything wrong. I'm going to swap out the team. A lot of this might have been avoided, but instead she had that same hubris. She felt she could go into the trial, which she did with these hearings, and she had those absurd moments on the stand, and the rest is history.
The rest is history, indeed. And yeah, I mean, I just, when you look back on it, she hired her married boyfriend who never tried a RICO case before, and with $600,000 of taxpayer money, paid him to prosecute a case, again, that he had no experience in doing. It really was Keystone Cops time, no question about it. And Jonathan, I'll let you go. I really appreciate you joining us here on WABC and the Joe Concha Show. Will the Bears, I'll leave with this final question. You knew it was coming. We had Carol Roth on last night. I have Bear fans on, for whatever reason, who don't actually live in Chicago full time. But in terms of the Bears, I'm seeing odds that say that they have one of the lowest chances to get to the Super Bowl, despite being a 2 seed and winning their division. I am not in that camp. I think that this is a good young team. I've come to like the quarterback. I wanted Jaden Daniels. Maybe that was a good decision to take Caleb Williams. Do the Bears have a shot here in an NFC, which I think is very ripe for the taking?
You know, like you, this is par for the course as a Bears fan, right? We could have the 4 horsemen of the freaking apocalypse on our line, and they go, hey, you know what? I think they're a little bit old. You know, I mean, no one ever gives us any credit. Now, we do have a Donze back, hopefully even with a bad foot.
Yeah.
I would just really appreciate it if they could start to play in the first 3 quarters, because my heart can't take it. My cardiologist is basically saying, don't watch the game. I'll fill you in later.
They truly are the cardiac kids. They got to come out of the tunnel a little hotter than they have, because you're right. Everything. These fourth quarter comebacks, you're going to run out of luck at some point. So hopefully, yeah, we'll see that. And yeah, you're right. We could have Dick Butkus, Singletary, Dent, and Walter in the backfield, and we'd still be like, they have no chance. But the 40-year anniversary, wouldn't it be something to win a Super Bowl 40 years later for the Chicago Bears? And Jonathan Turley and I will be in our jerseys rooting for it. And I really appreciate you joining us, Jonathan. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Joe. Go Bears.
Go Bears. All right, you're listening to a New York show, yet we keep talking about the Bears, guys. I'm sorry. All right, I could try to conform to your teams, but I don't know. I have a little stat here for you. The Giants and the Jets have not made the playoffs in the same year since 20-year anniversary, 2006. Think about this. Biggest city in the country. The Giants at least have a rich history, I think. They've won, 1, 2, 3, 4 Super Bowls? But nothing doing lately. And now maybe they'll get John Harbaugh as a coach. I really hope so. The Jets are just, I don't even know what to say anymore. I mean, they keep getting these number 1 picks, and it's just not going well. Maybe just time to clean house, including the owner. No, I'm kidding. Mr. Hess can do whatever he wants. You're a billionaire. You have your little toy that is the Jets, and I don't think he's going anywhere. Anyway, Joe Concha going off on another tangent. This is the Joe Concha Show. Please do stick around. Back with more in just a moment.
This is the Joe Concha Show, 77 WABC.
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and bust. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.